Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 219. On tonight's episode, we're going to talk about Victoria's Secret and the fact that one of the shareholders of the company has decided to sue them. And the reason that the shareholder has decided to sue Victoria's Secret is because of the piss-poor job they've done from top to bottom when it comes to the environment at the company. Now, we all know that Victoria's Secret was set to be sold to Sycamore Partners. Well, Sycamore Partners decided to back out of the deal after the pandemic started sweeping the world, considering the fact that Victoria's Secret was in breach of contract because they were closing stores. So Sycamore wiggled their way off the line, and now Sycamore has decided to focus on purchasing JCPenney instead. Meanwhile, L Brands, which wanted to focus on Bath & Body Works and jettison Victoria's Secret, now has to deal with not only the fact that they didn't sell Victoria's Secret, well, now they have to deal with the fact that one of their own shareholders is suing them for the way things were conducted within the company and for the environment that Les Wexner and his buddies fostered within the company. We all know that Jeffrey Epstein was quick to use his ties to Victoria's Secret to gain access to young models. We know that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell would dangle it as a carrot. And we know that everybody around Wexner and everybody around Jeffrey Epstein knew what was going on. There's no way they could spend this much time together, this much time with each other, and not have any idea who the other person is. It is my opinion that all of them knew exactly what was going on. And it's disgusting to think that Victoria's Secret was involved in all of these lines that were geared towards, adolescent females, younger girls that were, becoming teenagers, in their teenage years, etc., etc. And this disgusting, gross animal, Jeffrey Epstein, had complete reign of the whole company. He could do whatever he wants, walk into whatever boardroom he wants. And you see, now that all the evidence has come out, not all of it, but a lot of evidence has come out, putting Jeffrey Epstein as somebody who used Victoria's Secret as a fertile hunting ground for himself, well, you can see why one of these shareholders has had enough and has decided to come forward and file suit. Especially considering after the Sycamore Partners deal went bust, you have to think that these shareholders are fit to be tied at this point. There are going to be people who take huge losses when it comes to Victoria's Secret. So tonight we have an article from the Business Insider, and the headline is, L Brands, the parent company to Victoria's Secret, was sued over claims of toxic culture of sexual harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. The author of this article is Lauren Frias. The lawsuit was filed in Delaware by L Brands shareholder John Giarratano on Thursday with the intention of getting records and investigating the company in relation to its alleged toxic culture of sexual harassment, discrimination, and retaliation among senior leaders. So this gentleman, Mr. Giarratano, decided to file suit against the company and the senior leaders because of the environment in the company and because the way the company was run from the top down and their acceptance of people like Jeffrey Epstein, well, that in turn has impacted these shareholders and the value of their stock. So Mr. Giarratano here has had enough. He's decided he's filing suit, and I would not be shocked to see others do the same. People are getting really screwed here, folks. Really screwed because Les Wexner is just an absolute scumbag, in my opinion. While the brand has come under scrutiny in recent years for its porny image and portrayal of women as sex objects, the public could not have predicted the depths of wrongdoing, the lawsuit says. Victoria's Secret is in urgent need of reform. I think it goes well beyond that. I really don't think the brand can be rescued at this point. If anybody was going to have a chance to make it at least partly profitable again, I believe it was Sycamore. And with them bowing out, I've said this numerous times, I would not be surprised to see Victoria's Secret end up in the bargain bin. We're talking Walmart level type of sales point for Victoria's Secret stuff. Because where are they going to go? Are they going to be able to afford all of the overhead of having their own brick and mortar shops in these malls? Nobody's going to their stores. And once the truth is really out there about Wexner, forget it. Who cares if he's no longer, the head honcho? Just the stink of having Wexner's name on your product is just a horrible look at this point. And I really doubt that Victoria's Secret is ever going to be able to reform, that they're ever going to be able to make a comeback, or that they'll ever be viable ever again. Now, I will say L Brands saw a nice bump in their stock price today during the huge rally, but it's not sustainable. Not right now. And I really believe that retailers, brick and mortar retailers in general, are going to feel a lot of pain, especially in the future. And if you have the stink of Jeffrey Epstein hanging over your head and that fallout corroding the area, well, there's zero chance that you're going to be profitable. According to the court docket, Giarratano served a demand to L Brands in light of a report by the New York Times published in early February detailing a misogynistic culture at Victoria's Secret. And we discussed that at length when it was first published. It's important, right? It's important that we set the table. And it's important that we understand the environment and the dirty water in which Epstein and Wexner both liked to do the backstroke. These aren't people that were hanging out with good folk. These weren't people that were good people themselves. These were people that were looking to increase their wealth at all costs. If the means always justifies the ends with people like this. And that's what they were looking to do. They were looking to always increase their wealth, and that's it. It has nothing to do with caring about their employees or fostering the proper environment or making sure that these models and these young girls that come to them trusting them as an employer, one of the biggest in the world to do it at the time when this was occurring, and trust them to do the right thing and for it to be a professional environment to work in. Is that too much to ask? I mean, honestly, is that too much to ask for people to be able to go to work and just do their job without any bullshit? There is just way too much nonsense when it comes to companies like this. And there's way too much nonsense like this within the fashion world. It's gross. He alleges L Brands' board of directors failed to investigate and take appropriate action in response to complaints of sexual harassment, as well as the lack of independence of board members from L Brands' CEO Les Wexner. Wexner stepped down as CEO in late February after nearly 6 decades at the head of the company. And we know from our investigations and we know from the stuff we've read here that Les Wexner was a control freak. He was in complete control of these boardrooms. None of these board members had a chance to really flex their muscle or tell Wexner what he could or couldn't do. Wexner says Epstein's the guy, that's it, Epstein's the guy, he needs full access, he has power of attorney over me. And that's the kind of power that you build when you're the CEO for a company like this for 6 decades. Your power increases exponentially each year you hold an office like that. Your reach increases, your profile increases, and the people that you're spending time with and doing business with become more and more powerful. So if anyone thinks that Les Wexner was being dog-walked by Jeffrey Epstein and having his money stolen from him, well, that is a very naive position to take. Because Les Wexner is a lot of things. He is not a stupid man, though. And he was not going to give power of attorney to Epstein and not truly know who Epstein was. It's just not occurring, folks. The document stated that the company agreed to the demand but failed to produce related documents and has been completely silent since April 3rd. Well, they've had a lot on their plate, right? A whole lot on their plate, considering the fall through of the sale to Sycamore, the pandemic, and everything else that's going on. Well, what's their excuse now? The company should not be completely silent. They should produce these related documents so that the plaintiff can get on with his business. And again, we see it once again. This is the typical move of everybody in Jeffrey Epstein's atmosphere, and all of these billionaires do the same exact thing. They try and waste time. This stonewalling is all the more disappointing given that recent reporting has made clear that Victoria's Secret is in urgent need of reform, the court document said. Among a slew of allegations, the suit also includes mention of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his ties to the company. That should read pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. And yeah, you think that the suit would make reference to Jeffrey Epstein, considering that's the biggest problem with Victoria's Secret at this point, in my opinion? If it wasn't for Epstein, they'd at the very least, they would have been able to piece this off. Somebody would have swooped in, somebody would have bought it, and somebody would have done what they always do. They would have either been successful at rebuilding it and rebranding it, or they would have had to sell it off at some point. And again, like I think is going to happen eventually anyway, Victoria's Secret would become a bargain brand. But when you're dealing with a company that has ties to Jeffrey Epstein, and I don't just mean loose ties, we're talking about a man who had complete access to the whole entire company, to the keys to the Wexner kingdom. And we know, folks, that kingdom is vast. Jeffrey Epstein had the keys to the capital of that kingdom in Columbus, and everywhere else that Les Wexner did business. Everywhere. Jeffrey Epstein was involved with it all. And for anybody on the board at Victoria's Secret to act like they had no idea what Jeffrey Epstein was, like they didn't hear rumors, it's just so ridiculous that they would want us to believe something that far-fetched. Epstein was charged with sex trafficking and conspiracy to commit sex trafficking. He was awaiting trial and held at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York, where he died by suicide, allegedly, last July. Wexner had previously employed Epstein as a personal advisor and later attempted to distance himself from the disgraced New York financier, pedophile, in light of the charges filed last year. An investigation by The Times revealed Epstein's misconduct posing as a model recruiter for Victoria's Secret. And, of course, that is documented, factual, 100% true. Jeffrey Epstein used his ties to Les Wexner and Victoria's Secret to bring girls into his orbit for him to molest, rape, and abuse. Point blank, period. And to act like Wexner was not part of it, I don't even understand the mental gymnastics it takes for these reporters to do that. The L Brand's board of directors hired a firm to investigate Epstein's role at the company, according to reports, and in September of last year, Wexner addressed his ties to Epstein at an L Brand's investor meeting. All right, be prepared to be lied to, because anytime this man opens his mouth in regards to Jeffrey Epstein, he's telling lies. At some point in your life, we are all betrayed by friends, Wexner said. Being taken advantage of by someone who is so sick, so cunning, so depraved, is something that I'm embarrassed I was even ever close to. But that is in the past. It's so gross. That's Wexner's whole excuse. That's all we've ever heard from him. Journalists have never tried to dig deeper. Nobody's asked him to really go deep on the topic. All we get are these little canned statements from people like him and his buddies. I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of none of these legacy media outlets who have all of these resources at their disposal to go after people like Wexner and dig and ask the hard questions? What are you so afraid of? I know it's a novel idea, right? But is anybody out there in the legacy media going to do their job? If I had the resources, I'd be on the first plane to Columbus waiting to have a talk with this guy. Where does he play golf? A whole entire investigative piece should be done on this man. Hell, a whole documentary could be done on just his ties to Jeffrey Epstein. But yet, we don't hear nothing about it. We have to dig deep. We have to look for articles that have to do with L Brands and Victoria's Secret. And, you just take a look. Just take a search, an internet search for Les Wexner, and you would think that you'd find a million articles, new ones coming out all the time about his role within Jeffrey Epstein's criminal enterprise. But yet, we get none of it. Very rarely do we have an article that comes out that deals with Les Wexner and the role that he really played within Jeffrey Epstein's criminal enterprise. Because in my opinion, folks, there is no doubt that Les Wexner knows and knew a lot more than he has ever said or will ever say willingly. He's another one that should be invited to the RICO party. If you'd like to contact me, you could do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. All right, folks, until tomorrow, I hope you all have a great weekend.